Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Untangled ADHD. We're learning today about all of the 8 executive functions that are hijacked by ADHD so that you can understand your children a little bit better. My name is Danielle Kelly. I am a parent coach, but I am also an ADHD parent on this wild, wild ride with you guys. And today I want to help you make a little bit more sense about all of the things that you're struggling with, like tantrums or messiness or aggression. We're going to touch all of it today. I'm going to try my best to squeeze it into 30 minutes. I have never done that before. I am a talker, so I have a lot of notes to keep me on track. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. So, first up, I've already went into it a little bit. What are executive functions? Executive functions are life skills. Pretty much everything that we need to be successful, quote unquote, successful in life can be or will be hijacked by ADHD, such as planning, preparation, memory recall, organization of time and materials, all of the things that you will need to be successful in school and then go on into your working career, right? So today I am just going to cover what they are and how that will show up in your child's life, but we'll definitely go into how we can strengthen these because the great news is they can be strengthened. They can be trained and worked on so that the struggles that your child is facing right now does not have to last them lifelong. There's many, many things you can do that will help them be successful in life. So it's not doom and gloom, but it is kind of just being aware that these 8 executive functions will definitely need some work, and that's okay. That's what we're here to do as parents anyway, and our actual outline of what we need to do is much clearer than most parents. I know it doesn't seem that way, but with the knowledge of what is actually being taken away from your child, it's actually pretty clear what we need to work on. That's the good news. So, what are they? They are, in no particular order, planning, organization, task initiation for your procrastinators out there, working memory, self monitoring, emotional control, flexibility, and inhibition. All fancy terms, right? So let's break it down. I'll go one by one. Again, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll try to keep my focus because I probably have a little ADD, ADHD myself, but I'll try to keep it in check and see if we have any in there and keep up with those. First up on my list is planning. Planning is like having a roadmap for your life. And the thing about it is, ADHD might hijack planning, but ADHD in our brains is still searching for that roadmap, still trying to find what's going on, but it's also kind of taking it away. So, this could look like planning a road trip with the toddler who hates car seats. Everything seems to be going smooth, and then squirrel, and we're off track. So, one quick way that you could help with planning is one of my favorite tools, and that is visual schedules. And the best part is you can get your child involved in creating this schedule so that they can hold themselves accountable and responsible. And they start to feel that independence when they start checking off those lists of, okay, well, this was what we were going to do. Here it is. I can do it. And building up their self esteem and independence is a huge part of ADHD parenting because children with ADHD are typically 20 to 30% behind their peers. So if you have an 8-year-old who acts a lot like a 6-year-old, that could be why. They're often delayed in social and behavioral norms, cognitive and physical, not so much, but definitely delayed. You'll see that as you keep on your journey. Next up is organization. I have so many coaching clients who come to me and say, my child is so messy. And not only are they messy, they literally don't care. It doesn't bother them at all that they're scattered, that their room is a mess. Welcome to my world. Organization is the art of keeping your ducks in a row, but with ADHD, those ducks are probably not in line, maybe in different ponds, maybe in different counties. Or maybe one of those ducks are a goose. So, paperwork, homework, housework, it all ends up in a huge mess. And this might also be helped with the visual schedule because you could kind of coordinate, color coordinate what needs to happen with what planning. So let's say you have 30 minutes chunked off for reading. Reading could be read. Our folder with our reading material could also be read. Or like blue for math or whatever, get your child involved. They have these big ideas that they are excited to share. And whenever they share them, they're more likely to stick with it. But definitely organization tips. You yourself have to lead by example. So if your child is living in a scattered, cluttered, messy environment, they're probably not motivated to model that in their own lives because that's not being given to them as an example. I, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you're looking at it, have the OCD component of ADD, ADHD. Thank you, Dad. So I am super organized. I cannot function in clutter. My son is 9. He does not have the OCD factor. So, yeah, girl, we're always off over here. But again, it can be strengthened. Model that. My favorite is reward systems. So, whatever your child is hyper focused on at the time, and there will be hyper focused things in their future, you can use that as a reward to help them stay organized and a little less messy. Next up is a big one, task initiation. This could be multiple different factors. For one, we're scattered, right? We don't know what we're supposed to be doing and when. So your visual schedules could come in handy here. Also, we live in a digital age. It's 2024. Girl, we have all the apps, all the reminders, all the things. That's the good news. The bad news is that on the other side of that, I have found that task initiation and procrastination sometimes isn't even about not knowing what to do. It could be that your child, as my child, feels like they won't be good at it. So, where's the motivation to start? Because they already feel like they're not going to succeed at it. This is much trickier to overcome than just planning, right? We started in my house fail forward. So I know this is going off track a little bit, but the top 5% of people in the world don't mind failing. So we fail forward. So if you are not afraid to fail because you know you're going to learn something, that's huge, right? And that's a big issue for a 9-year-old to take on. But I hope that me imprinting that on him now will let him know failing is not a big deal. You're not failing if you're trying because you're learning something. That's a multifaceted issue, that task initiation. So if you're finding that they're just scattered and not knowing what to do, you may be able to find help with the planning or visual schedules. But if you are finding that you've dug down and asked some questions and it's like, I don't really want to start because I know I'm not going to be good at it, which is the perfectionism of ADHD, let them know. As long as you learn something along the way and try your best, mom's not upset. I don't care. I just want you to try your best. Next up is working memory. This is a huge challenge for ADHD parents in my coaching world. And I can tell you why. It's the short term working memory. So I drop in with a call with a parent, and they're like, I told my kid what to do. They were looking at me and they still didn't do what I asked them to do. Here's why. ADHD brains work on dopamine. So we are always looking for something shiny, right? Something shiny everywhere. So if mom is over here listing off these dull instructions and there's nothing shiny in those, like number one, make your bed. And number two, pick up your toys. By number three, we're out because there's nothing shiny in that list. Over here, there is games and toys and a brother to pick on. There's so much going on over here that's so shiny, and our brains are like, and I know that's a really silly example, but that's pretty much how it works. Your children need the reminders, right? So remembering to finish what we started is easier said than done, but there is an easy way. So, like I just said, I'll have parents drop in a call and they're like, I told my kid to clean their room and they didn't. For one, clean your room is kind of vague, it's kind of a broad instruction, right? We don't know what that means. We need to break it down. So, we're going to say, make your bed, pick up your toys. You're going to want to put the first two things is the things that you really want your child to get done. We're going to focus on at least two, the top two, put them up there. Because as I said, by number three, we're probably a little scattered. So maybe the third one could be the least important instruction that you're going to give that day. Visual schedules, visual schedules, visual schedules, so that you know, okay, so they know, you know what they're supposed to be doing and how. But this can be trained, again, with rewards. ADHD brains do not work on the threat of discipline. You will find that your child is not at all intimidated, motivated, nor threatened by your disciplinary actions at all. And so the flip side of that is parents are like, well, what do I do? If threats don't work, what do I do? You got to reward them. And this doesn't have to be monetary. This can be something that they really want. Like we do pizza nights or game nights, or we have like, a family activity that we can go do together, just whatever they really want. It could be the cookies that you never let them have if they follow instructions and remember the third step and actually get it done. Give them the cookie. This is also not going to happen right away. So don't think I'm going to tell them what to do and they're going to immediately do it. I'm not saying you have to nag them, but you are definitely going to have to check in on progress because this is not a one and done. So ADHD parents often come to me and they're like, I feel like I repeat myself all the time. And you will, and you do. But you're strengthening all of those muscles, all of these executive functions. So your repetition, consistency, love in the matter means everything. Self-monitoring. Self-monitoring is like having a little coach inside your head, keeping track of the progress or behavior that comes our way. What's going on? Self-monitoring is part of the aggression that we have. Definitely the self-soothing, checking ourselves. I am working so hard with my child who is 9. Say, mom's tickling you, and you get really frustrated and yell. Okay, so mom is over here tickling you, and you are belligerently yelling and frustrated. Are those two things on the same level? Could you come in and say, Mom, stop? Now, if you get your child to do that, first, praise that. But secondly, you have to honor that, right? Like if you're playing and all of a sudden your child is like, Mom, stop. You have to honor that. My son and his dad have a huge problem with this. One is saying stop and the other one keeps going, and I have to intervene and I'm like, please stop. So self-monitoring is like that little personal trainer in your head that is like, hey, let's don't do that. They don't have that. So that's where we come in, right? Again, a reflex and a muscle that can be trained. Emotional control is the other part of these tantrums that our children have. Parents coaching clients, they'll say, my child had this really big reaction to something that seemed so small from the outside. That is because their little, you've seen the movie Inside Out where the emotions are up there and Joy's running the party and she's like keeping everybody in check. In ADHD children, Joy is not there. No one's up there regulating these things. So not only will you find that your child can't manage their feelings in a sense that something small happened and we've spiraled, but you may find that something happened that did require a reaction, but that reaction lasts for so long. The self-monitoring and emotional control go hand in hand to produce the tantrums that you have come to know and hate. But again, all of these can be trained. And for emotional control, I strongly recommend that you do not do that in that heated moment because nobody's learning or taking anything in when our emotions are so heightened. But what you can do is at the end of the day, maybe before or after story time, you frame it something like this. Earlier today, Mom did not handle that situation the way that I would have liked to have. If I had the opportunity to do it again, I would. Is there anything that you might want to do better next time? And I know this seems silly, and parents usually look at me crazy whenever I say that or, suggest that. But after a while, you will find that not only are your children strengthening those executive functions, you may actually find your child stopping before the emotional outburst and saying, you know what, Mom, I was going to blank, but instead I think I will. And if that happens, praise that, because that is off the charts growth. That is the awareness. I'll tell you a very quick synopsis of what happened for us. When my child was very young, we recognized that he had ADHD. We didn't call it ADHD, we called it fast brain. Mom has fast brain, dad has fast brain. Many people in our family has fast brain. So what is fast brain? Fast brain causes us to make decisions really quickly without thinking about it. Like it pops in here and it either comes out here or we actually act upon it. So from a very small age, we started training him. Oh, maybe that was a fast brain decision. So that he could start recognizing these actions or emotions or behaviors and labeling it. And what did that do? That caused him to eventually say, Mom, I almost made a fast brain decision, but I didn't. Yes, we did it. So that is proof right there for you and hope for your future that these executive functions can be trained across the board. You will find so much success in your patients, understanding, consistency, and love. Next up is flexibility. You may find that your child does not adapt to change very well, that they have a hard time going from one activity to the other, and then guess what? Meltdown. Flexibility feels like yoga for the brain, but for someone with ADHD, they're kind of trapped on the mat. And this can be a lot of your tantrums transitioning. So, what do? I will tell you that the tiny, wise human that I am raising, I let him know. I said, I think he was in first grade at this time. I said, we're going to have to do homework every day for a really long time. That's the bad news. You are very early in your school career, and we're going to have to sit down every day and do homework. And I can't continue to have you melting down every single day. So tell me how I can help you and so that we can make this easier. And he said, Mom, I really don't like going from what I want to do to something that I don't like to do. So maybe we could set a timer and you let me know, hey, you have 5 minutes and I'll come over and do that. Now, there's two things. For one, I cannot believe I am raising this tiny, wise sage. Two, if you give them this option and they agree, when that 5 minutes counts down, I don't want a meltdown. Like, we're not doing that because I gave you your space to get your time in. Now, you also need to be aware of what they're doing in that moment. If my child is in a game and there's 30 seconds left, I can give that a wiggle room. But as in this morning, when we were dropping him off at camp, and I said, don't drop in another match on your tablet, and he did, no, sir. Leave that match because I just told you that you did not have time to do that. So you can still be firm, but also you need to be flexible yourself. You need to see that where they're at, they may have this big thing going on to them. It seems kind of silly to me, but can you give them another minute? Wiggle. Maybe model flexibility to get flexibility. Definitely let them be included in that. Amazon has this really fantastic visual timer. It's a little cloud counting down the rainbow so that they can actually see how much time is left in their time, because I know this is wild, but ADHD actually takes away their time management. So telling them they have 5 minutes is pointless, but if they can see it, that may help you a little bit. Last up is inhibition. This is for all my impulsive ADHD parents out there. There's no brakes on the brain, right? Inhibition is like having brakes on your impulses, but ADHD often means those brakes are kind of faulty, right? Blurting out in class, acting before thinking. I'll be very honest with you. I was about 36 years old before I realized that not having a filter was ADHD. I always said, I don't have a filter, or my mom doesn't have a filter. Whatever comes in up here comes out there. That's because ADHD takes away your filter, takes away your inhibition, gives you no pause in whatever comes to your brain, and then you go do it. Perfect example, last year at the night before school started, my son was like, I'm going to jump off the back of the couch. No, he didn't say that out loud, but his little brain was like, that's a great idea. Let's jump off the back of the couch. No pause, no reflection. Let's go jump off the back of the couch. The night before school starts, we break our arm at 8:30 p.m. because our inhibition is gone and our impulses are running wild and nobody's up there checking us, right? Just one example of what that can look like. Or if you're like me, and I used to be, and I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have said that. Like, girl, if you could just pause for 1 second. We don't have that, right? Strategies for you, my parents, fabulous, fabulous ADHD parents. First, we're going to accept this chaos as our new normal, because you will not find success if you are constantly trying to make your child who you thought they would be instead of embracing the child that's in front of you. That's hard. We all have these children. We fantasize that they're going to come in and they're going to fulfill all of our crazy goals and all the void parts of ourselves, and they're going to do this, and they're going to be Mozart, and they're, going to be Michael Jordan, and yada yada. And then you get a child who's literally going to retrain you to be a whole new person, and you won't even recognize yourself. Or is that just me? So, yeah, we're going to embrace the chaos. Visual aids are your friends. I think we've went over that multiple times. Visual schedules, timers, visual anything that you can do. You can leave a post-it note somewhere on the mirror. 1, brush your teeth. 2, wash your face. 3, brush your hair. It can be anything visual to remind them. I would suggest making it fun, and I would definitely suggest involving them. You will get more participation and you will find more success. Break it down. As we said, there's nothing shiny in these boxes or nothing for them. You probably won't get a lot of participation, right? Doesn't have to be huge monetary anything. It could just be you know, offering them something that they really want. I had a parent who, every time her child used her manners, she put a Skittle in a jar. 1 Skittle for each manner, each thank you, each please, each pause, each waiting your turn. Recognize that. At the end of the day, the child gets the Skittles after dinner. I think that's a fantastic option. If you are withholding sugar from them and they're like really driven by that, whatever works, right? I'm also not the mom police around here. We don't have a lot of hard nutrition lines, I guess. We don't do that. I don't withhold a lot of things because I feel like it makes them want it worse. So if I can work that in as a reward. Lastly, patience, patience, patience. As I've said multiple times, you will find that your patience, consistency, and love in the matter means everything. The longer you can maintain your patience and model what that looks like, the more you'll get that back. Whatever that consists of, right? Meditation, being outside for nature, wine, no cup judgments over here. Whatever you have to do to, because you cannot parent a child with ADHD being triggered all the time. Trust me, your girl tried. You will fail over and over. You got to take care of you so that you can be the best mom that you can be. That's it for me, guys. I actually just created a new course for this exact module of learning all of the executive functions. If you would like, I can put that in the comments. I would love for you to drop in with me. You will have 8 modules, of course, on each one of the executive functions. You can learn what you can do in the process to make that easier for you and also by extension your child so that we can strengthen those so that you do not have to follow them to college. And yeah, I believe in you guys. You've got this. I am a firm believer. I know it's super cliche to say if I can do it, everybody can do it. But if you only knew who I was 9 years ago and you could see me now, I know you can do it. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. If you have any future content ideas that you need help with, I would love to hear them. Like and subscribe, guys. Stay around. 6 years of parent coach training and 9 years of ADHD experience. I will put it all on this channel for you. Glad to help.